The moment the video clip hit the internet, the entire fandom stopped breathing. Heughan, known for being calm, diplomatic, and unfailingly careful with every public word, had just delivered a statement so sharp, so unexpectedly direct about his co-star that the Outlander community exploded within minutes. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a distortion. It wasn't a manipulated clip. It was Sam, unfiltered, emotional, and unmistakably serious. And fans were left asking the same question: what could have possibly pushed him to finally break the silence in such a dramatic way? For years, Sam and his leading co-star had been celebrated as one of TV's most seamless and harmonious duos. Even when rumors swirled and tabloids tried to twist every shared glance into a hidden love story, they managed it all with grace. But this time, something was different. Something underneath the surface had shifted. And to understand the weight of Sam's words, we have to revisit the history of a partnership that shaped an entire cultural phenomenon. Sam and his co-star weren't just colleagues. Together, they built a global legacy. From the very first season of Outlander, their chemistry was so natural, so charged, that audiences worldwide wondered whether it truly ended when the cameras stopped rolling. They weathered conspiracy theories, intense scrutiny, and the suffocating expectations that came with being the emotional core of a beloved franchise. Fans analyzed every moment: him adjusting her hair during interviews, her leaning against him during red carpets, the playful teasing, the coded smiles. Even when she announced her marriage, some fans refused to believe her deepest emotional connection wasn't with Sam. Through it all, Sam chose silence. He never lashed out. He never confronted the wild theories. And he never addressed the lines fans crossed, lines that would have pushed most actors to frustration. But in recent months, something had changed. He went unusually quiet online. He avoided questions about her, even direct ones. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, whispers emerged, of on-set disagreements, creative tension, exhaustion after nearly a decade under relentless pressure. Nothing was confirmed, but the shift felt real. Then came the interview, the spark that set everything ablaze. Sam looked tired, withdrawn, perhaps even hurt. The host brought up his co-star's recent comments about fame, work-life balance, and the emotional strain of their long-running series. The question was mild, but it struck a nerve. Sam paused, breathed, and then he said it. A statement that shattered nearly 10 years of silence. He began by acknowledging their profound professional bond. But then something in his tone changed, calm, steady, but edged with a weariness that felt new. He spoke like someone reaching a breaking point. Someone who had been quiet for too long. His words sounded almost rehearsed, as if he'd carried them for years, waiting for the one moment when he could no longer swallow them. He spoke about misunderstandings, pressure, the emotional weight of constantly being tied to another person's choices, image, and public identity. He didn't attack her, but the firmness in his voice was unmistakable, a boundary, clear and final. It wasn't anger, it was liberation. The fandom erupted. Half believed Sam was finally defending himself. The other half panicked, convinced something had fractured between them, something deeper than work. The community split instantly. What unsettled fans most was how deliberately Sam chose his words. He hinted at feeling overshadowed, misunderstood, blamed for things beyond his control. He spoke like someone who had spent years carrying the silent burden of public misconceptions. And although he never criticized her directly, the implications were enough to shake every corner of the fandom. Just when people thought he might reveal everything, he stopped. Abruptly, the interview ended with a silence so heavy it felt louder than his statement. The host looked startled. The crew froze. Fans were left with a question burning hotter than ever. What exactly happened between them to bring him to this moment? As soon as the clip circulated, speculation exploded. Fans replayed every second, studying the micro-expressions, the stillness in his eyes, the tension in his voice. It wasn't just his statement. It was the emotion underneath it, steady, restrained, but undeniably raw. Within hours, his company star's name began trending beside his. Fans flooded her accounts with questions, demands, fears. Would she defend him, ignore it, clarify it, or confront the implications head-on? But she didn't respond, not immediately. No post, No tweet, no cryptic story, nothing. And that silence, it was deafening. Screenshots of her older interviews resurfaced, moments where she hinted at creative differences, emotional exhaustion, or the pressure of constant speculation about their relationship. Suddenly, those old comments felt charged with new meaning. Then a tiny shift happened, one so small casual fans missed it entirely. She quietly disabled comments on one of her recent posts. To ordinary followers, it meant nothing. But to the fandom, it was a thunderclap. Why that post? Why that day? Why now? People began mapping timelines, comparing interviews, dissecting subtle changes in behavior. One fan noted Sam had liked fewer of her posts over the last year. Another resurfaced an interview where he hinted at feeling misunderstood. Tiny breadcrumbs suddenly looked like a trail. Then, 48 hours after Sam's interview, she finally broke her silence at a promotional appearance. A reporter asked cautiously about Sam's message. The room held its breath. She paused, looked down, and answered with a calm, measured honesty that stunned everyone. She acknowledged their long journey. The pressure, the blurred lines between fiction and reality, the weight of being paired, professionally, emotionally, publicly, for nearly a decade. But she didn't deny the tension. Instead, she admitted there had been difficult conversations, challenging moments, and unspoken frustrations that had lingered far too long. Her tone wasn't defensive. It was reflective, almost sorrowful. She didn't blame him, didn't defend herself. She simply admitted the truth. Something between them had been quietly shifting for years. Her honesty only added fuel to the fire. Fans divided again, some applauding her grace, others panicked that she was confirming a growing emotional distance, and many terrified that the magic that defined their partnership was starting to unravel. Then, just when things reached another boiling point, Sam posted again. Not a statement, not an explanation, just an Instagram story, a quiet road disappearing into mist and a caption that read, "Some journeys must evolve." One sentence was all it took to send the fandom into chaos. Was he referring to her? To the show? To himself? No one knew, but everyone felt the shift. Meanwhile, rumors swirled faster. Sources whispered about difficult meetings, creative disagreements, emotional fatigue, even a heated conversation before the interview. None confirmed, but all compelling. Yet despite the storm, one truth remained undeniable: neither Sam nor his co-star attacked each other. Even in conflict, they spoke with respect. Even in vulnerability, they protected each other. Their dynamic wasn't breaking, it was transforming. And that transformation terrified fans more than any rumor ever could. Now, as the dust slowly settles, the largest question hangs heavier than anything they've said: what comes next? Will they rebuild the bond that shaped a decade? Will they address the tension openly? Or will their silence become the final chapter of a partnership fans once believed unbreakable? No one knows, not yet. But one thing is certain: Sam Heughan's most powerful statement has opened a door that cannot be closed. And whatever follows, reconciliation, reinvention, or revelation, the world will be watching.